Hey, what's going on everybody? Justin here from 8 to 10. In my last video I brought out a knife and I showed it to you, and I thought, well, I better go ahead and do a quick overview of this product because I'm going to get questions. So this is that video, and I'm going to talk about the Rockstead Chou, C-H-O-U is how you spell it, C-H-O-U, Rockstead. I did not know much about Rockstead knives until about a couple weeks ago, and matter of fact, I didn't even know that they existed. And before I go any further, I am not an expert at knives. I don't claim to be. I'm just your typical average collector that I like quality type products, and so when I hear of a good quality product that's high in engineering or something like that, or it's using some exotic steels or something, that gets my attention. And so the Rockstead brand and what they stand for caught my attention, so I thought, let me give one of their products a try, and that's what I have right here, is a Rockstead Chou. Very cool knife. This is their Wave edition. I think it's kind of like their limited edition one. You can see the blade, see how mirror finish it is. Actually, I have some fingerprints on it. Let me wipe it off. You have to be extremely careful with this knife. This knife is the best way to describe this knife is it's sharper than a scalpel, and I'm not exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. If I had a scalpel here, a surgeon's scalpel, I would love to put it to the test because I think this thing is sharper. It definitely has much more cutting force, the cutting power of it, and I'll talk quickly of why I make that statement. If you go out and look up Rockstead's, just do a Rockstead YouTube search, you'll see them cutting through dried bamboo. You know, you'll see them cutting hemp rope like 1,000 times and just slicing through paper like it's butter. And that is true. There is no gimmicks there. That's the real deal. That's the same goes for this. I was able to slice right through a phone book with this, no problems. It had no problem going through a phone book. I was able to trim post-it notes up like it was like butter. I mean, I was trimming post-it notes up, shaping them up and cutting right through it at work, no problems. I mean, it has no problem. They actually say don't cut, do not use this knife to cut onto porcelain, as it will cut right through the porcelain. So any kind of plates, china, anything like that, this knife will cut right through it. It's a very, very sharp knife. And I think the reason why it's so sharp, I mean, I may be talking outside of my element here, but I'm going to kind of make an observation. And I think the reason why this knife cuts through objects like a phone book or, you know, very thick material like butter is the way that they've put the edges on the bevel on these edges. Most knives typically start out flat and then they grind it down. They'll grind it down, and that might be the final grind, or they may have a double. You know, they'll bevel it down and they'll just do a little small one for the final finish. This one actually has three grinds to it, which is it's made like a samurai sword, which allows it to cut through things. And it almost like, as it cuts through an object, especially let's say a phone book, as it cuts through the phone book, it allows the paper to push away. It pushes it away, and so it allows it to keep applying force to go right through that phone book. Whereas when I took out my Chris Reeves, or I took a Chris Reeves, a Damascus, you know, is a limited edition one that I have, and a couple other knives that I think that are extremely sharp, and they are extremely sharp, and put them to the test with this, they would only penetrate, you know, maybe 3/16 of an inch, and that was about all that they could really cut through without putting a lot of force. I mean, if I was to put like a lot of my body weight on them, they would go, you know, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, no problem, in a phone book. But this thing here went all the way through a phone book with very minimal force. I mean, I was able to just basically put my fingers on top and push down, and it would go right through the phone book. Very, very sharp knife. I cannot emphasize that enough, how sharp this knife is. If I was to take my finger and push it right, I mean, just set it on the top and put just a little bit of pressure, it would it would peel back my finger. It'd flay it open, just like, you know, a scalpel would. That's how sharp this knife is. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's that sharp. The blade on it is just wicked. I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, again, I'm talking outside of my element here, but it does have jimping right here. I'm not sure if, you know, if this is like a blood groove or what they use. This is kind of one of their signature on all their knives. They have that little hole with that notch in it, so that's a signature on all their knives. But from my understanding and from some of the reading that I've done, this knife is made by swordsmen, people who make swords, Japanese high quality swords, and this is basically like a mini samurai sword, really. I mean, it is. I mean, if you were to, you know, hit somebody or hit something with this, it's going to cut it. It's going to go right through it. It's that sharp. I mean, it's very, very scary to have this knife out without, you know, it comes with a sheath, and it's a very good sheath. I mean, I can't complain about the sheath at all. You know, they did a great job on the sheath. There's no need to make another sheath for this item. I mean, unless you're wanting a specialty sheath, which hopefully I'm going to come out with in the future. But anyways, very cool knife, very cool knife. But again, it's it's a beautiful knife. Actually, it's really cool to look at because the black diamond coating is buffed at a mirror polish, and I mean, hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can get that where you can see that finish. I mean, it is like a mirror. You can kind of see some of the angles, all the different angles on the blade. From my understanding, they have special jigs that do the final grinds on these things. And man, man, like I said, I can't emphasize enough how sharp this knife is. If you're wanting an extremely sharp knife, if you have the money, get you one, because you will not be disappointed. You will be in awe, and you'll love, you know, you could pull this thing out at work and show off to your friends and cut up some post-it notes like it's butter. I mean, just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But and it does, like I was able to carve, you know, you can carve paper just, you know, like this, and it was just smooth, very, very smooth. But this is on the same, in my opinion, sharpness wise, as a scalpel, a surgeon's scalpel, if not sharper. I would probably argue that it's sharper than a surgeon's scalpel just by looking at the edge, because I've seen scalpels and they're sharp, but this thing here is, the way they've done that final edge is just crazy. I don't know all the specs on how they do, what angles that's been used, but I'm sure they're out there that you can find them online. But man, if you want an awesome EDC neck knife or something like that, get you one of these. This will be something to wow some people with if you want to get one of these out. They have different versions. You can get them with paracord wrapped, or you can get them with the hard ironwood scales. I'm actually thinking about buying another one of these because they're just that cool. I'm almost in awe with this knife. I would love to have more Rockstead knives, but they are very expensive. I mean, the big ones are extremely expensive. The big Rockstead knives go upwards of $2,000. So then if you want the big fixed blades, they go for about $4,000. So that's kind of the scale of what we're talking here. They're quality products that are just, you know, and they're probably worth every penny, but I don't know if I could justify that kind of money for a use of a knife. I don't know. I just don't have that. I don't have the need for that. But this one here was worth it. I enjoy it. It's definitely something to kind of pull out, and a lot of friends will be like, wow, look at that thing. Beautiful knife. So anyways, that's kind of my overview of the Rockstead Chou. I hopefully you enjoyed it. It's not, like I said, this is not a review. I'm not a knife expert. I just wanted to kind of talk about it because I'm sure that people will be asking questions because I showed it in one of my other videos. So with that, hey, thanks again for watching, and hopefully you can acquire yourself one of these. If you would like to get one of these, where I purchased mine is Blade HQ. So Blade HQ, I've always bought a lot of my knives there. They've been really great. They're based out of Utah. Great customer service. And they have a great selection of all kinds of knives, especially very expensive knives. So if you're looking to acquire one of these, Blade HQ is the place where I got this at. So go check them out. If you like one, get yourself one, because they're kind of rare from my understanding. Is they make them in so much production, and once they're gone until they make another round of them. So right now I think they have a few on Blade HQ. So alright, thanks again.